Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Mornings with Mayesh. Happy 2022. I can't believe it. I don't say 2022 very often because, as you know, it's still January 11th. Anyone still messing up and saying 2021? 2022, guys. I can't believe we made it. We're here. Are you guys ready to talk new trends for the new year? I hope so, because today I have Jayne Kim with me of Still Carnations and our first 2022 Mayesh Design Star. And we're just going to be talking about trends and diving into her ceremony nest demonstration, answering your guys' questions. So as usual, as questions come up, go ahead and post those in the comments and we will get to them as time permits. Sound good? Say hello. Let us know where you are from while we're getting started as well. And I have a couple of reminders and just announcements to make to you guys. So I wanted to make sure that you are aware about our Japanese Flower Festival that is happening next week, January 18th. It's going to be a day immersing ourselves in the beauty and wonder of our lineup of Japanese flowers. David Dawson is going to be my very first guest of the day, and he's going to be giving you a flower tour, talking about the sizes and showing off everything to you, and also, of course, talking about care and handling. I also have Amy, the flower coach, and Amanda of Studio Mundine. They're going to be coming on and doing flower demos for you. Amy will be live and we'll be talking all about different types of things in terms of how to be and kind of planning, strategizing Japanese flowers for your weddings and events. And then Amanda with Studio Montine, she's going to be coming on and doing a tablescape. She pre-recorded her session, but she's going to be with me live. So we're going to come on live. We're going to share her video that she made for you, and then we're going to answer your guys' questions live. So it's going to be a really amazing day. I'm also putting together some content from our Japanese flower farm so that we can kind of get that behind the scenes, learn a little bit more about what makes these flowers so special. So really excited about the day. Make sure you save the date. I am going to put the link in the comments section for you guys so that way you have it. And then also just a reminder, our emails went out, and just want to make sure that you guys get your Valentine's Day orders in soon because that's coming up faster than we know it. I can't believe it's already mid-January. And then speaking of price lists, did you know that you can log in and get those online? They're under your account. So I just wanted to let you guys know that you can go to mayesh.com, log into your account. If you don't have one, just reach out and can use the chat. You can use the contact form if you're already a Mayesh customer. If you're not a Mayesh customer already, you just have to register. But if you're a Mayesh customer already and you have an account with us and you've logged into the website, you know that all works. We're going to have you reset your password. So just a friendly reminder, if you haven't done that since Saturday, because that's when all of our new fun things just launched on mayesh.com, you will just need to do that real quick, and then you can enjoy the price list and shopping online, all that fun stuff. We also, like I mentioned, have some enhancements. So we have like improved navigation. You're able to save your product planners as you work. So before you would create a product planner, you have to finish it immediately. You don't have to do that anymore. So it's really exciting. And by the way, we also have a coupon code for you guys. So to save 20% off one Ish Direct Box Lot order, it's New Year 22. I'm going to put that in comments as well for you guys. And that is good until the 15th, January 15th. So make sure you guys check it out. Visit mayesh.com. And I hope you guys love what you see. If you have any suggestions for us, of course, always reach out and let us know. We're always improving our website. We even have other things that are coming down the pipeline. We're always working on it. It's very exciting. All right, so that is my spiel, and I just unplugged myself so I can't hear anything. There we go, because I'm flailing my arms around. I'm going to bring on Jayne, and we're going to get started, guys. Hey, Jayne.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm in my new studio where I just signed the lease, and everything is a mess, and we're doing painting, so which is why I'm against this blank wall.
I love it. Congratulations. That's so exciting though. I know it's a lot of work, I'm sure of it. But that's amazing for you.
Thank you.
It's a
Yeah, I'm
great
really
way to
excited.
yeah, great way to start out the new year. That is for sure. Just saying hi to everyone. Hi Penny, hi Nancy, hi G Sun. Okay, so before we get into our questions, Jayne, can you just introduce
hmm
yourself a little bit and share about your flower story and how you came to be who you are today on January 11th, 2022?
Yeah, sure. My flower story, I feel like everybody has a really unique entry point, and for me, it was something that was accidental that turned into the real thing. So when I was like 20 years old, I just needed like a job, any job. I was like a broke young kid, and I started working at a flower shop, just doing cashier duties, and then learned flower care and how pricing works and all of that there. And when I moved back to California, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with flowers and see where that takes me. And so I kept working in flowers by starting as a bouquet maker at this e-commerce company in San Francisco. And so I was doing that there for a couple years, and I ended up becoming the design manager there because it was such a fast growing company. And I found myself in my early 20s, like managing a team of 25 designers, setting
Wow.
quotas, ordering products for all of our bouquets, and creating recipes, and kind of got thrown into the deep end, which was such invaluable experience. Like the mentorship I got from the CEO, like just that rapid growth, experiencing it at that scale, I felt like gave me a really unique perspective on the floral industry as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And then leaving that, I think I was like aching to do something that was really like creative, focusing on expression and kind of a different pace. So that's how Still Carnations came to be.
That's amazing. I love that story. I love everyone's unique story. So I told you I was going to ask you this when we were chatting the other day. But Still Carnations, that's a very unique name for your business. What made you
hmm
name it Still Carnations?
I feel like naming a business is like one of the most grueling things ever
Yep.
because you're like, how do I present myself to the world, or like what makes the best first impression? And like, I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I just couldn't like land anything that just felt like, how do you name something that like means the world to you, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so I just like marinated on it for like a really, really long time. And honestly, Still Carnations is just kind of something that was like, okay, I need to name it something. Uh, I need something to put on my Instagram, something to do. And I like that the word still could mean like, it's like standing still, like not moving, like a still life or a portrait. Or it could mean that it's still going, like it's still moving, still happening. And the fact that like carnations are such an underrated flower,
Right.
and one that have persisted and it's still the go-to for everything. Just the combination of those, feeling like starting in the industry, like feeling like a little bit of an underdog, like carnations are, and just those things combined, it just felt right to me. So that's how that came to be.
Interesting. I love it. I love it. All right, so we're going to dive into your video a little bit. And for all of you guys who haven't watched it yet, I hope that you do. You can head over to our blog. That's probably the easiest place to watch it because you get all of the pictures and details and all of that. But it's also up on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, pretty much everywhere you guys are on social media. But Jayne, when you first started getting into the video, you talked a little bit about color trends,
hmm
using brighter colors, moving from analogous to complementary color palettes. And so for those who may be new to color theory, can you expand a little bit on that part of the video that you were talking about?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on color theory either. Like when I was making the video, I was like, "Oh my God, like I know what these words mean, but I'm gonna double check." And I like Googled it because I was just like, I don't want to get this wrong. Um, so analogous color palettes, like if you're looking at a color wheel, if you just Google color wheel, analogous color palettes are like the colors that are sitting next to each other on the color wheel. So they kind of like when you think of a rainbow are the colors that come after one another. Whereas when you look at a color wheel, complementary colors will be like ones that are opposite. So say if you're looking at 2 o'clock on the color wheel, it would be, and that would be the
Right.
complementary color.
Very good. Very good. So what are kind of your favorite color palettes that you like in terms of maybe the brighter colors and the analogous color palettes?
Mm. Well, my comfort zone is analogous color palettes. So that's kind of, and I think we're used to shopping that way. So it comes natural to florists to maybe pick up like a rose with a gradient of petals and just be like, oh, it's peach and then going into a yellow, or it's peach going into a soft pink. And then they'll pick out the pink or the peach from that to choose their other flowers. So we're naturally picking analogous colors
Right.
based on the way the flowers naturally gradiate. I don't know if that's a word, but
Sure, it is now.
and so like that's just like the most like organic way to shop on the floor, or like imagine how your colors are going to blend together. So it's almost a little more counterintuitive when you're shopping for yellow flowers with blue flowers or purple flowers, and it can feel like scary because you don't want it to look clowny, especially
Right.
for a wedding. It can be kind of daunting to like propose such opposite colors on the same color palette. And yeah.
That's good. So you mentioned the word purple, color purple, and
Mhm.
we're talking about color trends. So what are your thoughts about Pantone's new color of the year, Very Peri?
I love it. The Pantone color trends are so bizarre to me because I'm like, I wish I had more insight on how they choose them, because sometimes it's just like, what? This is so random. But I feel I love like a periwinkle.
Yeah.
I love it. I think especially when it comes to flowers, because not a lot of things are that like bluish lavender
Hmm.
naturally. Like when you add that color into any like arrangement, it makes it feel so fresh. Like adding a little bit of like periwinkle in with warm, like a warm arrangement, I feel like makes it just a little like like adds a little fresh breath into it.
Yeah, yeah. So as you mentioned, there isn't a whole lot of flowers in that particular color. So I'm imagining that like if people want to do like an event that incorporates that color, maybe they'll bring it in like through like dresses or linens or something like that. What do you
Hmm.
think in terms of flowers that aren't very Perry color that would go with that color palette?
Ooh, I love that question. I feel like um with that periwinkle, like if everything was going to be like that type of color at a wedding, one might be like, oh, that's like kind of a crazy color, like let's go neutral. But I feel
Right.
like I might do everything like yellow, like sunburst yellow, going to
Yeah.
the opposite side and not adding a lot of different colors, but maybe doing like yellow with a cream, or like yellow with peach, it's just something like really pared down, but the opposite, so it still stands out.
Yeah, I love that. And everyone that's listening right now, we have some people over on Facebook and Instagram. We got about 50 over 50 on Instagram, a couple 20 on Facebook. Good morning, guys. Love to hear from you guys on what you think about the new color of the year and how you imagine incorporating it into your design. So that would be great to hear, guys. Um, all good stuff. So my next question is, you also in the video talking about trends was talking about product shortages and kind of how that relates to maybe designing a little bit more around seasonal products and when they're available. So, do you want to expand on that? Is that something that you kind of do now already? And I know that you're kind of lucky where you are because you have a lot of local product available. So I'm just curious on how that is incorporated in your business.
Yeah, so I'm kind of lucky in the sense, like you said, that I'm in California where we have a lot of great local product, but also that my clients tend to skew a little more like do your thing, you know? And so
Yeah,
I
that's
understand
awesome.
that not a lot of florists like have that model and clientele where they're able to just kind of be like, hey, trust me with the specific varieties of flowers because maybe your market is different, you know? But for me, I've kind of always done this where I let them know, like, I know for a fact that we can use this, this, and this. However, like everything else, the way we're going to make your wedding, your event, the most special that it can be is if we rely on market's best, like that week of.
Right.
Because there could be something in season that I'm not expecting, that I can't even think of right now, that's going to look amazing in your color palette, in your whole vibe. And I want to be able to allocate budget towards that. Um, and again, like in LA, we can kind of take more of a risk that way because we always have like things to forage or like, you know, like more stuff that's not
Right.
just like shippable goods. Um, and but I really like to work that way with clients, and especially because I like to work with clients that are really trusting and kind of on the same page. Um, and so when I do proposals, it highlights like color and energy and vibe, and like the mood board encapsulates like what the whole vibe is going to be, colors and textures wise. Um, and then outside of that with specific varieties, it's like, trust me, like I know what's going to be the best.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And that's actually been something I feel like we've been talking a lot lately and, hoping that a lot of our customers really kind of jump on that bandwagon because I feel like at the end of the day, it also makes everyone's life a little bit easier too, because you're not getting stressed out if you don't get this one specific variety that like
Mm-hmm.
you promised your client and then all of a sudden there's like the shortage or it just didn't come in or there's all
Mm-hmm.
these crazy things still happening that we're still dealing with. So I just feel like that business model works really well with kind of the environment that we're in right now. So I love that.
Yeah, and also like if you really want, say, I'll say like yellow roses, for example, like, and that's the one thing that you really wanted. We know there will be yellow roses, maybe, you know, like most likely there will be yellow roses, but with flowers, it honestly varies like week to week, whether it's going to be like that fat, juicy yellow rose or if it's going to be like super dinky. And you, even if it's available, you don't know if it's going to be at its best.
Right. Yeah.
And if you want your arrangements to be like va va voom, like you need that creativity and freedom to be able to choose the flowers that are like pa, you know, in that moment.
Yes, yes, I love it. And I just love that you said "ba ba boom." That like made my day and that I need to make that I need to make that a sound bite. So I'm just gonna write down the poem right now. So I have that. I have a question here from Penny. Hi Penny. She tunes in a lot. We love her. So she said, when I was learning design, it was about abundance. I can't wait to learn simplicity, which is tough for her. What is your tough challenge?
When specifically when it comes to designing in a simple way or using less varieties, I think honestly, paring down can be nerve-wracking
Yeah,
because you have less wiggle room to mess up. So, like when you're designing just like abundant, lush, mixed arrangements, I can pretty much guarantee, even if you don't know what you're doing, if you keep adding flowers, it's going to end up looking really impressive and good. So, when you're doing pared down arrangements, there's no room for that, right? It all
right.
has to be, you have to have like a very clear vision when you're starting off of what it's going to end up looking like. And that just takes practice, experience, and trusting your eye, and not comparing what you're doing to what other people have done, and just really trusting your own vision before you even start.
I love it. So good. All right. So your ceremony nest for the video turned out stunning. It was beautiful. And I just wanted to share with everyone that when we were talking about the ideas and you used the word ceremony nest, I literally had no idea what you were talking about. Like, no clue. I was like, and Allie too, because usually Allie will know in terms of design or trends or things like that. She's my girl on my team that like is on top of all of that. And we're just like, what's a ceremony nest? So I just want to just throw that out there. If you guys don't know what a ceremony nest is, it's okay. You just watch our video and Jayne's going to show you. And as she pointed out to me, she's like, I know you've seen it. It's just, this is what I call
Yeah.
it. So I was like, oh yeah, I've totally seen that. And know what that is. So make sure you guys watch the video after this, of course. But one of the comments from the viewers, I feel like is a good, sum up of how everyone felt about it. She says, I love the concept of a meadow. It seems so much more organic and natural compared to an arch. I never thought about this until I saw the video. Your video has sparked so many ideas, great flow choices, and color palette. So just wanted to say bravo. Love the video. It was a great way to kick off 2022. Yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys so you could all laugh at me because I had no idea what a ceremony nest was.
Okay, but to your credit, like I know I've heard that term used to describe that before, but I also don't know if I'm saying it like as if everyone knows what it's called. Like I don't think it's like an industry-wide term for that. Like I just know I heard it somewhere and it made sense to me.
Yeah, and it totally makes sense when I was like, oh, that's what that is.
You were like a bird's nest, like
well, and then also to my credit, just so you guys know, and I shared this with you, Jayne, but we pre-COVID, we would do like a big fundraiser at our Las Vegas event. It would be kind of pairing art with flowers, and it's really cool. But one year, someone made a giant nest. Like a legitimate nest.
Did it have eggs in it?
And there was birds, a lot of birds and all of that. I don't remember exactly what it looked like, but I just remember that there was a big giant nest at our Las Vegas branch for this thing. So it was called Art in Full Bloom. So yeah, that's what was coming to my mind. I was like, I know this is not what she means. That doesn't
seem like something she does.
Or like something like a client would be like, I really need a nest, So it's all good. So you are the very first person that pulled out a piece of wood and a staple gun for one of our Mayesh Design Star videos. I don't know if you know that or not, but you are. And honestly, your mechanic really got a lot of comments. People were like, oh, this is amazing. So great. Why didn't I think about this? So is this type of mechanic something that you use often for installations?
Yeah. So when I know that I'm going to be on grass or like on a slopey surface, which we always end up being on, like we always end up being on surfaces that are not flat and precarious.
Right.
I've done so many events. It's just like learning from your mistakes, right? Like where it just tips over and you're like, I don't know how to get this to stand while people are interacting with that space or moving around it or whatever. It's going to tip over, and the only way not to get it to do that is to like use foam or like zip tie it to a surface that may or may not be there, or it's like always kind of a mess. So when you're doing something freestanding that's not near any other thing, that like really that wider flat bottom, you just know it's not going to get knocked over, and having that peace of mind allows you to do so many other things.
Yes. I mean, like I said, I was very surprised because what you did and how you explain it makes so much sense. But I'm like, why haven't we had this on before? This is amazing.
Even when you use loamy dishes with foam, Because if you're looking at it from one side and designing on one side of it, everyone's experienced this. Because you're putting so much weight in the front, it always tips it forward. And you
Right.
don't want to put a bunch of product in the back, or like, you know, you don't want to put like stack rocks, or like it's just like a design challenge. And so just
Right.
having like that wider surface makes it, I mean, gives you so many more options.
I love it. I love it. So good. So we had a couple of questions come in about the water source. So,
Hmm.
someone was saying, did you put all the branches in water? If because they didn't think that you did, and they're asking if that's okay. And
Hmm.
then someone was asking about water tubing and if there was water in the container. So do you want to talk a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
sure. So there was water in the design tray, which is what like the forsythia branches and the clematis like go in. But another great thing about choosing your materials wisely, going back to like when you're doing more minimal choices, that blue ice pine does not need to go in water for an event. Like it's going to look fabulous. Same with the lemonium, which is what we used as a base. Like, so if you saw me putting things in horizontally and spilling forward or to the side, it was going to be the blue ice or the lemonium that like spills forward and outward. That doesn't need water. But if you want to add, say, like a really long clematis at the end, and the bottom of the stem's not going to go in that design tray, what I like to do is like water pick it and then tape it with floral tape to a stake, so that when you poke it in, the stake goes into the chicken wire, and then the clematis is in a water tube, and you can get it like really, really long. I didn't want to focus a lot on water source in the video, because we were talking about so many other things. And also, like, yes, it comes from like you learn about water source for different materials from experience,
Right.
but it's like 101. You need to know which flowers need to go in water. That's just something that you just need to know. It's like asking a photographer if they put batteries in their camera. It's like, of course, that's the first thing you do. So, yeah.
That's good. I'm sorry for the pause real quick. I'm gonna bring up we have a guide actually that Sue McClary put together. Didn't help. She put it
Mm,
together. We just made it pretty and turned it into a guide. So it talks about different flowers that are good in kind of these event designs that might not have a water source. And then,
yeah,
of course, processing is so important, right? Just making sure that flowers are processed properly. Because if they are, a lot of times
yep,
they'll be okay out of water too for quite a long period of time as well. So
yeah,
I'll find that like while we're chatting and I'll post that in the comments for you guys and make sure that it's in our show notes as well on the blog for you guys to reference. But that's a really good guide. And that just kind of popped in my mind while you were talking about all of this. Um, so another really great question that came in about the ceremony nest that you designed is, so you showed you creating like the one base piece, but
mm.
obviously it takes more than just one. So how many pieces did you use to create that nest?
So that semicircle took 6 of those bases. So I built one, I made 6 of them, and then the ones that were going to go in the back, we made added a lot of taller things, and then the ones that were going on the sides, we had things more spilling out forward so that it had like a semi-tapered effect. But yeah, it took 6.
I love it. I
And then,
love it.
you can always like add a lot more. So I also use those for aisle meadows too. And that's great
Yes.
because you can just like move them around, form different shapes. Like you could literally just make it continuous forever, and put it in whatever configuration you want. And I think that's what makes it cool too.
Very good. Very good. And then, people are always wanting to know when they watch these types of videos, especially for like a large ceremony piece, how much would you charge for something like that?
Okay. Yeah. So for the nest, I was spoiled because obviously Mayesh provided the flowers. So I would take whatever the materials are going to cost, And then for an installation like that, the materials are going to end up taking like 33 to 40% of what you charge. So I think with the nest, all of the blue ice, forsythia, limonium, blue carnations, clematis totaled about 750 wholesale. And so that times whatever you need to times it by to, and that's your retail. Because, and for this, I would do times 3 because I'm also spending on the wooden boards and chicken wire, and I have to store those and I have to clean them, and things like that. And that is outside of your on-site installation fee.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. I've done several episodes about pricing. I pretty much talk about pricing with all of our designers, and then I'll do pricing specific. I've had Ryan O'Neill, and I've had Allison Ellis, and a few others. I think even Christina Barragon. So we've talked about pricing a lot. So if you guys are looking for that, you can just check out some of our past episodes too, if you want a little bit more information on that as well. So thank you for sharing, Jayne. So I got a really good question in from I think Instagram, and they want to know, how did you start out, which you talked a little bit about in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but I think this person's really wanting to know about your business in particular, because they ask, do you have any advice for new florists starting out with limited cooler space?
Yeah, I have so much. I have so much to say. So I feel like I want to say that most of my Instagram followers are like new designers. Like
Okay.
that's who's interacting with my content. And I totally like am there with you. So when I was starting out, I think my main thing was like keeping overhead costs low. And so I wasn't splurging on like a big cooler or a studio space or things like that right away, because you're building your clientele. Those margins we all know are small, and with this cooler in particular, so I'm lucky here because there are studio spaces for rent for projects. So when I had larger events, I would rent a studio space with a cooler for the day or 2 days, or for like, the Thursday through Friday where I'm making stuff for the event. And then that way I can factor that into my project budget, and not have those crazy overhead costs, and just go project by project, rent a space when I need it for the bigger ones. And then I was using my garage for like smaller orders or like little events. But for coolers, yeah, using renting a space for that, or just getting things really fresh and making sure you're staffed up so that you can make it right away and then deliver it. And then also when I was starting out, I wasn't just doing still carnations full time. I was doing still carnations and freelancing. And so that was, like a few years where I was just like freelancing and building my own clientele and doing that side by side, so that not only was I getting more experience, getting more confident in my skills, but getting more knowledge on how just things operate as I was building my business, and being really patient and building that slowly.
I think that's wonderful advice. I love that. I think that's so important. And I feel like when people are asked about kind of how they start off or advice, a lot of times they'll talk about like working for someone else and getting that experience. But not often have people talked about doing the freelancing while they're still building their business. So that way, they're getting that experience, but also bringing in income too. So I feel like that kind of helps alleviate a little bit of the pressure too when you're just getting started, because it's a lot of work building a brand new business from the ground up.
And I have to say, kind of along those lines, like finding a community of florists that is really into supporting each other is a huge part of that. Like, I wouldn't have been able to freelance while I was building my business if it hadn't been for florists who were cool with that, cool with me working with them and working on my own stuff. I know not every experienced florist is like that. But I've had florists that I freelanced for over the years, like Felisa of the Flowers, Maurice at Bloom and Plume, and Mikey at Putnam, like people that have been so supportive and like gave me so much knowledge and provided me with so much intel, and just, like, and then you get to meet other freelancers and you all help each other out. Like Chantel at Offerings, like when we were first building our businesses, we would trade labor with each other so that we could support each other on bigger jobs. And it's just like having that kind of community allows me to grow my business to a point where I'm like now signing a lease at a new studio and, growing together. And I think I have to give credit where credit's due. Like it just wasn't me like pulling myself up by the bootstraps and like getting it, and like it
Right.
wasn't like that at all. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's so good. That's amazing. Amazing, amazing. Community, freelancing, keeping overhead costs low. I think that's all really great advice. And everyone else that's watching, of course, and love to hear your advice for anyone that you have for people. That totally didn't come out right, but you know what I'm saying because I was reading while I was talking. That was my fault. I have another question from Penny. She says, "What is your favorite design style versus your not favorite style?"
Hmm. My favorite design style. Well, I have like a few. So I think like the way that I design is kind of like a mishmash of things that I find amazing. Like there's a lot of that like really juicy sculptural type of design that's like from Australia. Like a lot of Australian florists have this like really like juicy, modern, like trendy type of designs. And then I also get a lot of inspiration from like South Korean florists, which are like soft, like ethereal, like bushy kind of design where it's like
Mhm.
very pastel-y and romantic, but like unique. And has interesting shapes. And I think like the hardness of that one, like that Australian type of aesthetic and the softness of that South Korean type of floristry, like mixing those two together is kind of like where I like to fit in. And then my least favorite type of floral design is just anything that's been done a million times, I think. So like,
Okay.
of course, I love everything flowers, like that's who I am. But I would say my least favorite type of floral design is lazy floral design.
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
Like just, just what's been done over and over and over again and doing it over and over and over again. And I
Right.
love like the boundary pushing like creativity that a lot of florists have, and that's my jam. And yeah.
Very good. We talked a little bit about it because we were talking about the pandemic that we're in and we're experiencing all together. And I know a lot of business owners have had to make shifts and like kind of their business model or what they're doing. Have
Mhm.
you had to make any shifts in your business in the last couple of years?
Yeah, about like 10. I tried so many things when the pandemic hit. Like it was wild and it was all out of my garage. Like, I mean, everyone had that dread when they realized that all of their jobs on the calendar was going to get canceled.
Yeah.
And, that is something that every single florist experienced. Um, I really leaned into like doing things to just keep people like engaged with my business even if they weren't buying anything from me. So I did like a socks and underwear drive for the homeless because that's like a huge issue here in LA, where I bought cheap flowers and made little mini bouquets, and then people dropped off socks and underwear for me to donate, and in exchange I gave them like free bundles of flowers. And I feel like that was like a really uplifting experience that like kept me creative and kept me motivated when things were like just straight up depressing, I tried doing subscriptions, but I realized that was not my jam. Um, Super grateful for people that, really tried out that beta with me. I did a lot more deliveries, which isn't really a part of my business plan, but I think everyone kind of shifted to doing smaller orders. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, so many things. But luckily, like I wasn't in a position where I had to like close my business or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And congratulations again. That's so exciting. Great way to kick off the new year. And with everything that we've all been through, it's always great to see people just moving up and on and pursuing their dreams still and being successful. I see another question coming in really quick. Give me 1 second. Because it's literally being typed in my notes while we're while we're talking. Uh, so it's coming in from Kyla. She said, "I would love some advice for a real beginner.
Mm,
Did you
yeah,
intern or apprentice? Are there internship possibilities?" I think sounds like she like has like literally has never
no
done flowers
experience.
before and wants to
Yeah,
get into it. So good luck to you, Kyla. And Jane, do you have anything for her?
yeah. So I think starting off with zero experience, you have to be ready to do some really unglamorous stuff. So that's like you have to be okay with cleaning buckets like forever.
Forever,
Processing roses
forever.
forever.
Yeah.
You're not going to get to make an arrangement for a really long time. Maybe you're just processing flowers or doing buckets. There are people out there that will take on internships. Um, but I think even if it's not glamorous at all, like it's just a flower shop in your neighborhood and you just learn the basics, and just surround yourself with flowers. And then when you've done that, practice arranging. The tricky part, I think the reason why people find it so hard to break into, like, say, freelancing for other designers is because florists don't have like any time. So
Yeah.
we're like so busy when we're on projects that it's hard to find someone that's like not too busy to teach you, but still has the money to teach, to have you on and to, you know, pay you. So it's kind of like this sweet middle ground where you have to get in with designers who like have the time and money to invest into your growth. So I think like starting off just being down, being down to clean buckets and process and just like do remove stickers from vases, and like it's a lot of that in the beginning, but you have to start with that. It's not starting with just somebody teaching you how to make flower arrangements in their studio. Like if you want to do that, then I would say take a workshop or take workshops. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all really great. And yes, the cleaning buckets never really stops.
Mm.
And and I think people don't realize like you said unglamorous, but how unglamorous a lot of it is, right? Like, at
Yeah.
the end, people always see this beautiful design and the setup and everything's complete, right? But behind that
Yeah.
is green fingernails and, dry hands and a
Yep.
hurt back because you were hunched
Hmm.
over or you're squatting like 50 times
Or
in
you're
one day.
sunburnt because you're
Yeah.
making an installation out in the sun and you don't have time to eat. And um I respect florists so much because I know what all of it takes to make that gorgeous picture for Instagram at the end. I love the illusion and the fantasy of being like, look at this incredible thing, and people just not knowing at all how it's done or how that was achieved. I love that. I love the effect of that, which is why, like, I don't share so much of like like the schleppy part of it, because I just love that illusion. Like, whoa, like, how did that happen?
Right.
Like, I love that effect. But if you're somebody that is really interested in becoming a florist and you have no flower experience at all, then you do need to be aware that like about 5% of it is the end product. And the rest of it is just really, really, really hard, dirty work.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, and I have someone else too asking about, insight starting out in the flower world. And I think exactly what you
Mhm.
said, Jane, is like just getting in somewhere, starting from the bottom, learning the ropes, educating yourself. I feel like the education piece for yourself is really important and kind of how you
Yeah.
want to go about that. We have people who are kind of self-taught and like have kind of just kind of grown. We have people like Amy Balsters, who is classically trained and like is very passionate about like knowing basic mechanics and making sure that those mechanics are on point before you move on to like doing all these big fancy things. It's just building that knowledge and then learning about flowers. I mean, there's thousands of flowers at any given point. So it takes a long time to learn about flowers, and then the care and handling of those flowers and how each flower
Mhm.
sometimes has like its own care and handling. And so it's just a lot. So it's just learning and growing and just getting started. So it's all really good stuff. Wow. I feel like we covered a lot of stuff, Jane, in
Yeah.
46 minutes so far. And I think it's time to kind of wrap up. Do you have any last thoughts that you wanted to share with everyone before we say goodbye?
Mm, not really. Are we doing this again next month?
We are going to be doing this next month. So
Yeah,
Jane
I'm
has
so excited.
Yeah, me too. So you have another video coming out in the beginning of February. I know everyone's going to be starting to go crazy with Valentine's Day, but hopefully you can take a few minutes to watch
Mhm.
that. And then we will schedule our live for after the holidays. So that way everyone can just, watch us from the couch with their coffee and just chill out with us. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be nice. I'm really looking
Yes.
forward to it. I'm super excited for February's video.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm excited about this year, you guys. I was a little nervous about doing it again like the way we did last year cuz I'm just always worried like, I don't want it to get boring, right? And so but everyone that we
Mhm.
have is just really exciting and has different perspectives and different design philosophy and style. So it's just going to be a lot of fun. I'm super super excited about it. I'm also excited again, like I mentioned earlier, and right when we started the show, about next week, January 18th, we have our Japanese Flower Festival. I hope you guys can all join. So far, I've had over 300 people RSVP, so I'm really excited. It's a free event. People ask if it's free. Yes, it's free. We're gonna be doing it live, like how we do Mornings with Mayesh. So it's gonna be super easy to join. And I'm super excited. So I hope you guys join us. Save the date. And thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jane, again for joining me, doing this, and being our first Mayesh Design Star of 2022. I love it. And I hope you guys all have an amazing day. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.